Timer started. You doing all right? Mics are hot. Everything's ready to go. After I slept on the Spurs trading away that 8th pick, I think I see it in a different light now.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you asked the question, how am I feeling? I don't believe in hangovers, dude. I give myself 30 minutes of a hangover.
Powered through it, man.
Yeah.
You know what? Go on another 3-mile walk, sweat it out, you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's probably why I got all drunk yesterday. I was dehydrated.
You went on that walk before you went to the draft party. Well, shout out to Pete's Place, for accommodating us, and shout out to all the people who came. It was a great turnout.
We were Pete's Place yesterday.
We worked it, man. The drinks were flowing. Everyone was having a good time. Primo seating in front of the big screen. Shout out to Steph and, Fernandez for coming out. Brandon Medina for coming out. Got to meet his dad again, Got to meet some new peeps out there, too. Sam
nice.
Salinas and some of the other guys that are watching us, Shout out to you guys. Mario Cavazos. Sith Elias making the trek over here from Carrizo Springs,
Nice.
Morning, Sith. Good morning, Mario. Sith says the quesadillas were fire. They were pretty good. Food was pretty good.
It's kind of hard to mess up a quesadilla, though.
JHNSB, are they hungover as hell? No, man. What's good, Tim Gonzalez? He says, what's good, Mike and Joe? What's good, man? I know he was talking trash already because he's like, no Tar Heels were selected in the NBA draft because he's a Duke fan.
Welcome to another episode of the Alamo City Sportscast with Mike Jimenez and Joe Garcia. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Join the discussion as we broadcast live from beautiful West San Antonio. And remember to tip your hosts as it helps the show grow.
What's up, San Antonio? What's up, South Texas? This is the Alamo City Sportscast coming at you from the Alamo City, your home of the San Antonio Spurs. My name is Mike Jimenez. That is Joe Garcia. We're going to go for about an hour and a half today talking all things NBA draft because that was a glorious night for the San Antonio Spurs yesterday. We have half the fans right now excited about what happened. The other half kind of pissed off, calling for Brian Wright's head. We're going to figure this out. We had a blast last night over at Pete's Place, man.
Yeah.
And before we get the show started, Joe and I are humbled by the number of people who showed up. We thought, 15, 20 people might show up? 40.
Yeah, man.
40 people showed up, and it was a great time out there at Pete's Place in Helotes, which is not a centralized place, man. Not at all. But if you could show my screen real fast.
I'll show it to you.
We have photos on Twitter of the party, and it's nice seeing everyone get together. It was a bit of a community, and it's like Spurs Twitter came to life.
Yeah,
over there, and we took up the vast majority of the patio. All of these people here, except for maybe these two people right here on the corner, right, were part of the podcast.
Yeah,
they're subscribers who, by the way, we picked up 2 more. We're now 938 strong. Very humbled by it all. We had a great time. I tell you what, man, I'm glad that I Ubered because the drinks were flowing early, man, and the Michelob Ultra girls came by giving us a free round. That was nice. But
it was.
We are humbled by it all the kind words.
Yeah.
A reporter from The Current was there. He's also a subscriber, and he's also one of our avid listeners.
I hope we didn't say anything too stupid out there.
Yeah. He was like, I want to interview you after the after the Spurs make their picks at 8. I'm like, well, by then I'll be drunk.
Be all.
So I gave a buzzed interview, which was nice.
Fuck Brian Wright.
Well, that's the attitude that a lot of Spurs fans have right now. Is they're not a big fan of what happened at number 8 with the Spurs.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that because, like I said, I woke up this morning and I had a new perspective on it.
A new perspective. That's a good way of putting it, because you have to understand that I am somebody who has been very critical of Pop in the front office, RC Buford, Brian Wright. It has been 5 seasons in a row of losing records. It's been 6 years since we've been in the playoffs. It's been 10 years since our last championship appearance and finals win. We're getting kind of antsy. And because we're antsy right now, I think a lot of Spurs fans saw Dillingham go away and we're like, what? I thought we need more help, right? And Dillingham is a shooter and whatnot. But the more you think about it, what are the odds that the Spurs are going to draft 2 point guards?
True enough.
You know, and have Trey Jones on the roster. It didn't make any sense for them to get Dillingham. So it's funny because the first pick that came out, Reece Shea, we all looked at each other and went, okay, things are going to go to form, right? Atlanta didn't move. They took Reece Shea. Number 2, we're looking at it and like, okay, we've got Alex Sarr going to Washington. All right, everything's going chalk. Then the drama. At 3, Houston wheeling and dealing. Are they going to make a move? Are they going to trade Sengun? And they didn't. They kept it, and they took Reed Shepherd.
Yeah.
And we all looked at each other and thought to ourselves, it's got to be Castle. It's got to be Stefon Castle. And when they called his name, the first words out of my mouth were, that's my son. I find it funny that the Spurs draft my favorite players in college. They did it with Devin Vassell when he was at Florida State. James Pledger and I, Saturday Morning Hangover back in the day, we would watch Florida State basketball all the time, and we fell in love with Devin Vassell, and he's a Spur. Fell in love with Sengun. That didn't happen. The Spurs went and got Primo instead, right?
Yeah, how well did that work out? Yeah.
Obviously Wemby was our favorite because he was the generational talent. And then this year, I followed Stefon Castle's games, dude, and they go on to win the national championship. And to hear Brian Wright after the pick say, we chose Castle because, and I like the way that he phrased it. God, I criticize Brian Wright all the time. But I'm going to give him a high letter grade. By the way, you can vote on that at MJ Acquired Taste on Twitter. Give the Spurs a draft, a grade for what they did last night, A, B, C, or D/F. I was looking at it, and I was thinking to myself, Stefon Castle makes sense. And I know a lot of Spurs fans are like, yeah, but he can't shoot. We need scoring. We need scoring. We need scoring. No, the Spurs need an identity. And the identity that the Spurs are going after is we're going to be a defensive-minded team, much like Minnesota, right? We're going to win with defense. And back in the day, when the Spurs won the titles back in 99 and 03 and 05, that was a defensive-minded team. 07 and 14 was an offensive-minded team. But they're going back to the roots. Stefon Castle is going to get a lot of play. And I wouldn't doubt that Stefon Castle is going to win Rookie of the Year this upcoming year.
That'd be crazy if we have back-to-back Rookie of the Years on the Spurs.
He's going to get minutes. And he's going to get minutes right away. And Brian Wright was interviewed afterwards. And he was basically saying he came from UConn, man. Coach Hurley. He was brought up and he was selfless. People were asking the question, well, can he play point? Well, he played point in high school.
Yeah.
So the thing is that as Brian Wright was explaining, and also as Stefon Castle explained to NBA TV, he was saying, yeah, I can do lots of things, but UConn didn't let me do it. They showcased certain talents of mine because that's what they needed. And then you have Brian Wright come out and echo that and go, he will do what it takes to win. He does not need to be the star. He knows his role. He's going to find a role. He's going to excel at that role. And my God, he shows up yesterday wearing what colors?
Silver and black.
Silver and black. He knew it. He knew the Spurs were going to
making fun because we're like underneath the jacket lining. We wanted him to open it up, and he's going to say, "Puro pinche Spurs."
Yeah. He had a big old medallion, a big old chain that had a castle on it, right?
Yeah.
Every king, Wemby, needs a castle. He's got the castle. I'm super excited. I've been calling for Stefon Castle's names for the past 4 months or so on this podcast because that was my guy, man. That was my guy. And then things kind of got a little bit crazy at 5 because, you take a look at the mock drafts and we knew that there was going to be a change somewhere, right? Somewhere there was going to be a change, and that all happened at pick number 5. And I was kind of surprised because I'm looking at it. I'm thinking to myself, Ron Holland going before Buzelis. Ron Holland, G League Ignite, goes to the Detroit Pistons. And then you hear the name Tijani Saloon.
Like, damn.
You're from France going. And now I would say this, though. I firmly believe that if Saloon was still there at 8, Spurs would have kept the pick.
They would have kept it. They would have had to. I mean, can you imagine pairing him alongside Wemby, I mean, forget it, dude.
Spurs board was probably 5 names.
Oh yeah,
It was probably
no
5 names. Then you have Donovan Clingan go number 7 to UConn. Rob Dillingham chosen by the Spurs at 8. Everybody around us at the Alamo City Sportscast draft party is just celebrating. John Dyer, who was co-hosting with me last week, was super excited. We got our guy. We got our shooter.
Yeah.
And then 3 minutes later, the news comes out.
We're like, what?
That the Spurs traded Dillingham for a 7th grader. Somebody that's going to be in the 2031
Somebody
draft.
eating ice cream right now with the kid, with their family, you know?
Exactly. So the Spurs right now traded Dillingham for a 2030 protected swap. So the potential
The first one is protected. The first one I think is unprotected. The second one is protected, I believe.
And the unprotected pick is in 2031, which is funny because where does this all begin? This all begins in the summer of 2018 when the Spurs traded Kawhi Leonard to the Toronto Raptors. That trade will now live on to 2031 because remember that trade? The Spurs got 3 pieces. They got DeMar DeRozan, they got Jakob Poeltl, and they got
Keldon
Johnson, the pick that turned into Keldon Johnson, right? We still have Keldon. We traded DeRozan. We traded Jakob
back.
We traded Jakob back. And what did we get?
More picks.
The number 8 pick, which is now being kicked over to 2031. So it's funny how the Kawhi Leonard trade, did we win it? Did we lose it? Did we get 50 cents on the dollar? Did we get the full dollar? Whatever. We're not going to know till 2031. I'm going to be like 50 some odd years old at that point.
Whatever money they made off of that, they're reinvesting it
right
in a shot that something will happen in 2031, you know. But at the end of the day, when you look at this trade and see what happened and why it happened, the Spurs basically made a move for Wemby's future, and they're playing the long game because there's no guarantee that Dillingham is going to work out.
Right.
You know, and that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves did. They swung for the fences because they needed another piece over in their team. And look at Connolly, should I say, he's aging out. They need somebody, and they can't afford to go into free agency because they just don't have the money to do so. This makes sense for both teams.
This has happened before where the Spurs trade a player and that player balls out elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, that wasn't our guy.
Yeah, I think the Dillingham pick, the Spurs already were aware of the trade, so they were picking for the Timberwolves. This is the guy they wanted. Yeah.
Zach Edey surprisingly went number 9.
I think that was a reach, man.
Grizzlies. Yeah, that was amazing. Cody Williams going 10 to the Jazz. Matas Buzelis, who Vegas had at minus 150 going in the top 5, fell all the way to 11. You can tell that he was not happy about that. Out of Serbia, Nikola Topic goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder. A top 5 talent who has bad ACLs again goes to OKC. And you know what? They lose Giddey, right? And they get Giddey back in a way in Topic. Devin Carter out of Providence fell to 13. Bob Currington from Pittsburgh, part of a trade with the Portland Trailblazers. Going further down, Dalton Connect, who a lot of people consider to be NBA ready, number 17 to the Los Angeles Lakers.
It's a solid pick for them, man.
It's a very solid pick. Baylor's Jacoby Walter went to Toronto at 19. A lot of interesting names down the stretch. Ryan Dunn, who I'm a big fan of, Virginia was selected by the Nuggets and then promptly traded. Tonight is going to be the second round of the draft. Isaiah Collier went 29 to the Jazz. That was a 5-star recruit who was supposedly a top 5 player this year going into this past season, but because of injuries and whatnot, didn't play as well, fell all the way to almost the second round. Tonight is the second round. The Spurs have 2 picks. One of them is the 35 picks. It's one of the first picks in the draft. We'll go over the best available later on in the show. But let's talk about Stefon Castle. Stefon Castle is going to help the Spurs with an identity, which is defense, right? That is obviously what they're doing. And I like when Brian Wright says he will do whatever it takes to be part of a winning team. He knows that he is not the star. He's not going to come in to do that. He's going to come in to be Drew Holiday. He's going to come in to be Derek White. And I am 100% supportive of this. Now, Tavarius reaches out to us and says, but Dilly is a bucket getter, right?
Yeah.
He's a Buccaneers. You can't start Trey, Sohan, and Castle because, again, Trey Jones shooting is a little bit off sometimes. Sohan inconsistent when it comes to shooting.
He's not an offensive threat.
Well, Castle can attack the basket. Okay, Castle can pass. Castle is he reminds me a little bit of Kyle Anderson back in the day, like a fast version of Kyle Anderson. Can his shooting improve from 3-point land? That is the big part. Is you have the hope that he's going to get better when it comes to shooting. But let's talk about this real fast. For those of you who don't want Castle on this team or didn't want Castle, who are you going to get? Do you want somebody that is going to play right now, or do you want a project? Because who are the NBA-ready players in this draft? I would go on to say that right now, Reed Shepherd, as much as I like him, may not be NBA-ready yet, right? Because of size and things like that, right? You have to figure out how to play him and how to get him onto the court. Dude, I'm sorry, but Reece Arshea is not NBA-ready, and Alex Sarr is not NBA-ready.
Yeah, and they went 1-2.
But Stefon Castle is. He's ready to go, and he's got that 6'6" size. I am super happy with this, man. I am super happy. 6'6", 215. There's nothing to say, by the way, that he can't get a little bit taller either. I am so happy that the Spurs got Castle, and it's not because I called it a long time ago, but it's because I know that he brings something to the table, and he's going to contribute right away.
Well, this is the guy that they drafted. You're going to tell me you don't want this guy on the team? You know, Stefon Castle?
Yeah.
He can shoot.
I mean, he's not bad. I mean, 27% from three, which is not great at all. But, hey, some of the post-up moves that you have there, being able to – dude, he has such high basketball IQ. And that is the thing. He has a smart way of playing. Look at picking pockets. Look at that.
Kid's athletic, man. He can jump.
He's athletic, and he's also really good at throwing up alley-oops as well. Because who did he play with in college? Donovan Clingan. And look at there it is right there. Yeah. So he can rock the rim. He's just smart, man. He's just a smart player. Again, Drew Holiday, Derek White. That's the type of guy that he's going to be molded into. Averaged 11 points per game last season, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Shot 47% from the field, just 27% from three. Knocked down 76% from his free throws, and his effective field goal shooting percentage was 51%, which is not good, but it's not bad. It's all right. But he got coached up, man. He got coached up. So why did the Spurs do this trade? Why did the Spurs do this trade? Got to ask yourself that question. Okay?
I can answer that for you as well. The reason, but I believe that they went ahead and did this trade is when they look at it at the end of the day, there's not going to be a lot of playing time for Dillingham, right? And he's still like a work in progress. You know, there's still aspects of his game that need to be fine-tuned, right?
Yeah.
For all the upside that he brings you, again, these are all draft picks. Even Castle, he looks NBA ready, and they all need some work. You know, they're not just going to come out of the gate flying. You know, they can make an impact. They can, Castle could be rookie of the year, but he probably will start like Wemby did more than likely. Come out, be a little lethargic, trying to get the speed of the game, let it come to him, get used to it, get acclimated, and then he'll come on strong. The thing with Dillingham is there's not enough playing time. At the end of the day, the Spurs did want to save a little cap space. I believe by doing the trade, they're going to save somewhere in the neighborhood of $7 million.
Yeah. Eventually it'll be $7 million because it gets up there to that level. Yeah. But let's talk about that real fast. By the way, I like the Bleacher Report with the Photoshop here of Dillingham. I guess he's going to wear number 5. Do we have to ask Big Shot Bob if that's okay? Because if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that Robert Horry's number?
Robert Horry,
back in the day. But let's talk about the Spurs and why they did this, right? Because I posted this earlier on Twitter today, and I know it's you can't see it there, but the Spurs' salaries next season. Did you know that right now the Spurs technically only have 7 players on the team? It's technically only 7, okay? Because the Spurs have Devin Vassell making $29 million, Keldon Johnson making $19, Zach Collins $17, Wemby $13. Then you have Trey Jones at $9. Stefon Castle will make $7.6, and then you have Sidy Cissoko at $1.9 million. Those are the 7 players on the team right now. Now the Spurs have team options, which more than likely they're going to take them, right? But in theory, they can get out of these contracts if they wanted to because it's a team option on basically the draft class from a few years ago. They've got Sohan, Branham, and Wesley. Blake Wesley, Malachi Branham, Jeremy Sohan. $5.6 million for Sohan, $3 million for Branham, $2.5 million for Blake Wesley. Team option. The Spurs can keep them. The Spurs can get rid of them.
Yeah.
So if the Spurs want to assume a big contract, theoretically, they could shed space, the shed salary cap space to make that happen. Now, 3 contracts are not fully guaranteed, which means the Spurs can cut them and recoup some of that cap space. Graham, Champagny, and Bassie. Okay, so let's say that the Spurs were to have those 7 players, exercise the team options. That's 10 players right there.
Yeah.
It's a 15-man roster. So the Spurs have to go shopping. We're either bring Graham and Champagny and Bassie back and just bring back 2 free agents, or the Spurs have to go shopping for other people.
Said something else that I was kind of thinking as well. Stacking picks to make a bigger move. That's something that they have the possibility of doing as well. Shedding a little bit of cap space, packaging these picks together.
Well, right.
They could do something.
Well, because we're talking about the thing about the number of players that we have here. How many first-round picks do the Spurs have next year?
They got a couple.
They got minimum 2, maximum 4.
Yeah.
Because we have ours, an unprotected pick from the Atlanta Hawks, a top 10 protected pick from the Chicago Bulls, and a top 14 protected pick from the Charlotte Hornets. So theoretically, we got 4. So if we had 3 from a couple of years ago, and we have 2, and we were to have 2 yesterday, and then City Sissoko, by the way, who was a second-round pick, got promoted, if you will, to a guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
The Spurs don't have the roster space. Again, they can't just be drafting people and sending them to Austin because that counts. If you are a first-round pick, you are part of the 15-man roster. You're a part of the 15-man roster.
In order for the Spurs to own the rights to said player, they have to be on the actual roster.
Right.
They can put him in the G League and they can let him play there.
But they're still part of the
15.
He's
on the books.
He's on the books.
Yep.
And because of that, the Spurs have to do something. And then also keep in mind that the 2024 free agency class sucks. It sucks. And we've already heard that OG Anunoby is going to re-up with the Knicks.
Yeah.
And Pascal Siakam has re-upped. There's nobody there, man. There's nobody in the 2024 free agency class pool that is worth spending a lot of money or capital on.
And look at Sam Salinas was saying, stacking picks. We already have stacked picks. How much higher does this stack have to get for us to make a move? That's a big question there.
Well, the problem is that the people that you want, the asking price is too high. I kind of feel like Jerry Jones right now looking at Dak Prescott going, I'm going to have to pay $60 million.
What was that trade that was done the other day with the Nets to the
for McCall Bridges?
And that wasn't for a superstar player.
That was just for a guy that was for Devin Vassell. It was basically who it was. A 19.5 point per game kind of guy.
And what was that asking price? It was kind of high.
Yeah, 5 first-round draft picks.
Like, geez,
4 of their own and 1 that they had accumulated elsewhere. And so if you're going to go get a DeJounte or a Trae Young, it's going to cost. It's going to cost.
And Lopez is saying, aren't you all tired of collecting picks and the team not doing anything with them? They haven't shown to that they're willing to trade for big time player yet. Yeah. I can get that.
You need to have a trading partner, man. You need to have a trading partner. And it's one of those things. The hope and belief is that Wemby's going to be so good that free agents are going to want to come over. The free agents are going to want to play with him. And I believe that to be so. But, man, Joe, it looks more and more like the Spurs are punting on year 2 of Wemby's contract. And I think that was the frustration yesterday because I don't know if people really believe that Rob Dillingham is the next Kemba Walker or the next big-time guy in the NBA. Because, I mean, how often do you find a 6-footer who runs around and is a big star in the NBA? Doesn't happen, man. Yeah. I mean, it happens if you're, Dame Lillard or you're,
an elite type of player.
An elite type of player, especially if you're 161 pounds. That doesn't happen very often. But the Spurs, I mean, it's a Venn diagram of you need to get the talent, you need to have the roster space, and you also need to have the salary cap space in the works.
I think that's the key.
Because he would have made $5.5 million this year, but would have made $7 million by year 3. And if the Spurs are actually going to go out there and get a free agent in 2025, because the 2025 free agency draft class is massive. We've got like probably 10 All-Stars who are free agents in 2025. And we're talking about they can not having to give up any picks, not having to do anything other than just sign them. 2025.
Look at what the Drew Show says. Thank you for the $5 super chat, by the way. He says, Mike, when are the Spurs shipping out these bums, these bums along with these future picks for real NBA players, poverty franchise, fan base, and city? Laughing.
No, that is okay. First of all, Joe, and anyone who's been following Alamo City Sportscast the past 4 or 5 months has known that I'm not the biggest fan of Brian Wright.
Yeah,
that I felt like he got lucky. We had an 11% chance or something like that to get Wemby. We got him. We got lucky.
You know, one thing that I did notice with Brian Wright yesterday, you could see him on the phone and we were all saying, oh, something's happening. Mm-hmm. There's a deal being made, because he looked busy. He looked engaged, like, right. Oh, man, he went off camera, came back. And then finally, when the Spurs were going to make that pick, he kind of threw the phone on the table.
He did.
He was like, but at the end of the day, I think he was upset because he's like, you know what? I want to win now, but at the end of the day, I think he did the right thing and solidifying a future for the Spurs. And it all depended if they're going to be able to keep Wemby. But when you're looking at it in the long game, right? The overall long game, at that point in time when Wemby is going to be up for what? A Supermax contract, right? 2030, 2031. The Spurs might have already a roster around Wemby, right? There's not going to be a lot of cap space to go around. So if these picks pan out, and let's say the Minnesota Timberwolves, their star players are going to age out and they might be on the down low, the dip, and they might have high draft picks during those 2030, 2031 years. That's actually going to help the Spurs because they could actually get some talent there and bring that in to the team and save some cap space because they won't have to go out and free agency and spend so much money.
I think we're being asked to look at the big picture.
Yeah, I think that's exactly correct. Be patient, right?
This is a photo right now of Stefon Castle wearing the Spurs hat right there, looking good, looking fly with the silver and black suit. I found it funny that CJ McCollum was on ESPN this morning saying, have you noticed that the suits have gotten fancier at the NBA draft the past couple of years because the NIL money has kicked in and they don't have to go to the Men's Warehouse to go get a suit. They can go out and look like they're, at the Met the Met Gala in New York, right?
Yeah.
There's also video of Stefon Castle getting a FaceTime with Victor Wembanyama immediately after being drafted, and Wemby welcoming Stefon Castle to the team, saying, "Get ready, let's make this happen. Let's make this happen. This is beautiful, baby. This is beautiful."
I like JHNSB's comment because I was saying about Brian Wright throwing the phone on the table. He goes, "It's just acting skills."
G Granada comes out and says Brian Wright messed up the 8th pick in 2015 with the Pistons and missed Booker and other All-Stars. True, but this draft, by the way, welcome to the show. It's a relatively new name to the chat. I appreciate it, man. Share what we're doing, man. Let people know that we're out here doing our thing. This was not the strongest of drafts.
No, it was not. Not talent laden.
This is to get the Drew Holiday, Derek White kind of guy. It's not to get the Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Victor Wembanyama kind of guy. Okay, that's basically what this draft is all about. But to see the Spurs already embrace and Wemby do his job, which is welcome the team, right? You are the captain of the team. This is your team, and they're going to work well together because this guy, Stefon Castle, has been throwing lobs to Donovan Clingan all year long. Clingan also a lottery pick. So he's used to throwing it to the 7-foot guy.
Yeah, he is.
Clingan is what, 7'2"? Well, Wemby's 2 inches taller. Just throw it a little bit higher.
Yeah.
You'll be fine.
You'll find him. You'll find your guy.
You'll be fine.
Look at Anthony L's comment. Before the draft, everyone was crapping on this draft. And then all of a sudden are in shambles on how dare the Spurs move that 8th pick.
That is great, man. That is a great.
Oh, this is a weak draft. And then they trade away the 8th pick, and it's like they're ready to burn Spurs Twitter to the ground, man.
Get all excited about a 6-footer who weighs $161. Yeah. Come on, man. Like he's Allen Iverson.
Yeah. The thing is, look at the next draft, right? Next year's draft is supposed to be a stacked draft, right?
Yeah.
So if you're trading away that 8th pick and you're going to bring this team back, with Castle, in lieu, and the team proves to be a little bit better, but not so much better where they're going to, win so many games where they're going to be out of that top pick, right? They could still be in the hunt, maybe getting a top 15, top 10 pick, and there's going to be a lot of talent in this next draft. That's a smart move for the Spurs.
It is, and you're getting draft capital, you're saving cap space because 2025 is the year that it's supposed to happen. Let's go over again the free agent list of 2025 because the 2024 free agent list with Siakam gone and OG Anunoby gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of good players there. You got that center from the Knicks that you can go out and get, Harkenstein, that forward center from the Knicks. Okay, fine, right? Does Nick Claxton turn you on? I like Nick Claxton, but I mean, that's not going to take you to the promised land.
Is it that all-star quality?
No, he's not. But look at the free agents for 2025, shall we? Jason Tatum has a player option, which means that if Tatum ever decided that he wants to go buy a house in Stone Oak and come to the Spurs, he theoretically could, and the Spurs don't have to give up draft capital. Other players, Jalen Brunson. Well, he's probably going to want to play with his friends in Villanova, right? But he has a player option next year. Donovan Mitchell. Remember all that talk about the Spurs trading picks to get Donovan Mitchell? Guess what? We could just wait one more season. He's available. Lauri Markkanen. Remember all those, hey, we should trade for Lauri Markkanen?
He was a Spurs fan favorite.
Dude, I saw that podcast the other day with JJ Redick and LeBron James. Guess who LeBron James said that he loves watching play?
Lauri Markkanen.
He talked about Lauri Markkanen. He has a hard-on for Lauri Markkanen. It's great. But guess what? You can get him because he's an unrestricted free agent next year. Paul George, getting a little bit older, but he is available next summer. Brandon Ingram's available. Alperen Şengün of the Rockets is available. Evan Mobley. Remember all those trade rumors about the Spurs and the Cavs for Evan Mobley? You could just go get him. You want to bring in LeBron? Theoretically, he's a free agent next season.
If the Spurs draft Bronny.
Cade Cunningham. Remember, we should trade all these players and these picks for Cade Cunningham? He's available, but it's a restricted free agency. Jamal Murray. Champion Jamal Murray. If he doesn't want to play with Jokic, maybe he wants to play with Wemby. He's an unrestricted free agent. Franz Wagner, restricted. You want to throw some money at him? If Orlando doesn't match, you can go get him if you wanted to. Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. Hey, if you want to do Twin Towers with Rudy Gobert, you can go get him. Kyrie Irving. You want the tail end of Kyrie's career?
Hey, man, the guy he's still got handles, man.
He still got handles. The best point guard I've ever seen with my own eyes at a game is Kyrie Irving. Jimmy Butler is a free agent next year. Derek White. Want to bring Derek White home next year.
Come home, Derek.
Miles Turner is a free agent. Aaron Gordon is a free agent. These are unrestricted free agents for the most part. Jonathan Kuminga is restricted. Fred VanVleet. If you want to take him from the Rockets, you can. Jalen Johnson. D'Angelo Russell. Jalen Green. Alex Caruso. Look at this, man. Why did the Spurs trade the number 8 pick? It's because they're going to go after one of these dudes next year.
They need cap space.
They need the cap space.
Yeah.
They need the roster spot. They're going to go after one of these guys. They have to.
Look at JHNSB. None of these guys are coming to the Spurs.
No, I disagree, man. I disagree. If Wemby's a top 10 player, they're going to want to play with him. That's like saying nobody would have wanted to have played with Duncan.
Oh, hey, D is saying, I'm not convinced. Players would want to play with Wemby, with the exception of Trae Young.
Now, Trae Young is all but flirting with Wemby, playing footsies underneath the table.
Yeah.
But Trae Young, man, I like Trae Young. I really do. I'd rather have DeJounte, though. If we're going to get one of those guys from Atlanta, I'd rather have DeJounte. Mario Cavazos is out and asked a question. But why trade to a Western Conference playoff team? They should have to trade to a team that sucks in the East. It's only my concern. Well, that happens in football, right? Where it's like you don't want to trade within division.
Why would you want to make somebody in your division stronger?
But if that's the best play that you had, if that's the best pick, and keep in mind, somebody needs to want to come up to number 8 to make the trade. The Spurs had a for sale sign, obviously.
Yeah.
And that was the best offer that was there. And sometimes you just got to look at it and go, we got to do what's best, because the whole thing about not helping a team in the conference or division, was very much a thing in the 80s and 90s. But nowadays, it's all about just improving your team.
Yeah, and you don't think the Spurs fans, they don't think that the Spurs were going around the league, with everybody in their war rooms, telling them, hey, we're willing to trade the 8th pick. What do y'all got?
Right.
What do you have?
That's exactly it. It's kind of like they have an offer up or Facebook Marketplace. That's what the Spurs were doing yesterday when it came to that number 8
Yeah,
pick.
other executives already knew. They had already put the word out. We're willing to trade the 8th pick. What do you got to offer? And Minnesota gave them something that was attractive to them,
Dude, this is what we're going to see next year. So let's talk about Stefon Castle. Whose minutes does he take, okay? Because I gave you the roster that the Spurs have right now. If he's playing point, at what point is Trey Jones kicked to the curb? Trey Jones has a deal with the Spurs next year for $9.1 million. At what point do we kick him to the curb? Because are we looking more long term, or is this going to be another type of thing where we're going to experiment with a rookie? Because I think that Castle actually has the chops, man. I think he has the actual ability just to start and play right away. And I gave you the Spurs roster right there of who's there. Here's who's on a expiring deal this year. Okay, which means
you got a couple.
Trey Jones is on an expiring deal. It's his last year. That's $9 million that can come off the books. Devontae Graham is off the books completely.
Oh, the Spurs are going to go ahead and let him walk.
The Spurs can also let walk next season, this season or next season, Malachi Branham. Blake Wesley can be a goner. Champagnie and Bassie can be a goner. So if you look at it this way, this is my Brian Windhorse. My Brian Windhorse. Spurs are going to go and do the Jerry Jones all in 2025.
They have to make roster moves, so they have to let some of these players walk. If they have these picks coming in next year, right?
Right.
You have to make room on the roster.
You do. And look at this, man. Next season, at the end of next season, here's who the Spurs have on the roster. They have Keldon Johnson on a $17 million deal, which is fine. They have Zach Collins at $18 million. This would be next the season after next. And then they'd have Devin Vassell. They'd have 3 players on the team.
Yeah. Look at JHNSB.
They theoretically could get rid of Sohan, Wesley, and Branham. They theoretically could get rid of City. They can get rid of Bassie. They can get rid of Champagnie. The Spurs right now are unloading. They're not reloading. They're unloading right now because they have to make a move in 2025. And if they don't do a move in 2025, they do not deserve Wemby.
Yeah, they need to do something. And the thing is that they're going to do something, but it's going to be for the long game, right? So what's going to happen, like you said, they're going to unload some of these players, and that way they can free up the cap space. They can go after a vet, and put him alongside Wemby in free agency, but also bring in some of that young talent again, and bring it in and kind of co-mesh it with the team. These younger players are going to have to develop, but if they can get high picks of let's say, quality, that changes the complexion of the team. Because right now what you have is you have some young players. To me, they're not really panning out. They're coming around a little bit, but none of these players are going to be of superstar caliber.
They just They're
all right, dude.
They're
all right. Yeah, exactly.
The Spurs have 2 picks tonight in the second round of the draft. Now, famously, the Spurs got Manu Ginobili in the 50s, 20 some odd years ago, back in the day. The Spurs have also in the past, Sidy Cissoko last year, who balled out in Austin. Dude, Sidy Cissoko might actually be a player on this team. He might actually be somebody that we're going to be looking to play some minutes this year. Spurs are picking at number 35. Back in the day, Nikola Jokic was a second rounder. Draymond Green was a second rounder. So it is possible to find a diamond in the rough. Spurs picking at 35 and at 48 tonight. According to ESPN.com, the best players available, Johnny Furphy out of Kansas, a shooting guard. Inconsistent shooter. Surprised that Kyle Filipowski of Duke, the power forward / center, fell to the second round. He is available. Bobby Clinton of Sweden is available. Tyler Smith of G League Ignite. These are some players that were supposed to go potentially in the first round. Tyler Kolek of Marquette, point guard, still available. So the Spurs are picking. Also, Bronny James, by the way. Bronny James is still available. By the way, NBA.com has Bronny James ranked as the 25th best player available. They think he's going to go. But will it be the Lakers? Will the Lakers do it early? Or are they going to wait for that last pick that they've got?
Probably wait for the last pick, man. Thank you, Drew, again for the $2 super chat. We greatly appreciate you, man, supporting the show. And he says, say it, Mike. Say the word.
The process.
The process.
Trust the process. That was the Philadelphia 76ers back in the day.
Oh, no.
The problem is, Drew, and thank you so much for the super chat. The problem that we have is the fact that it's the perfect storm. The Spurs are playing the right game for the perfect storm, and Spurs fans don't want to hear it. And I'm not saying that I'm a Brian Wright disciple by any stretch of the imagination. And you know how I want Greg Popovich to kind of retire by now, right? I've been calling for his retirement for 9 years. It's an ongoing story with me, okay? This is not new, okay?
It was like you were a politician. You were telling everybody over there at the draft party yesterday. Yeah. You still wanted Pop gone.
Yeah, I still want Pop gone, okay? He has a 5-year plan. What is the 5-year plan? Not to die, right?
God.
He's the oldest coach in NBA history by like 6 years. It's done, okay? Yeah, enough. But it's the perfect storm. So, Drew with the super chat, it's the perfect storm. We got the perfect storm of this. The generational talent in Victor Wembanyama, a good player in Devin Vassell. We now have our Drew Holiday type of guy in Stefon Castle, my son, and then the perfect storm of 2025, up to 4 first-round draft picks in what is considered to be one of the strongest drafts in the last decade, in the last 20 years, with potential 4, 5, or 6, maybe future Hall of Famers in there.
Potential all-stars.
And we have this incredible free agency class in 2025. It's the perfect storm. The Spurs are just bobbing around trying to make this all happen. And I don't think the Spurs are going to make the playoffs next year.
No.
Spurs are going to go out there, win 30, 32 games. They're going to get a little bit better.
No.
Hopefully Sohan develops into something better offensively. If Sohan can take it up a level and take a leap, okay, and Castle is there doing his thing and showing that he can play elite defense. By the way, Castle yesterday interviewed by NBA TV, they asked him, who are you looking forward to defending? And he goes, I want my shot at Luka.
Oh, okay.
Okay, got that dog in him.
A little dog in him. Yeah,
like,
I don't mind that.
He goes, I want to see what it's like to guard Luka.
Yeah.
And that's great, man.
I'm sure Luka heard that.
EG coming out and saying, I can't wait for Pop to coach at 95 to 95. and even after he dies, it's going to be a weekend at Bernie's moment. He's going to be there. Someone, Mitch Johnson's going to be there, holding his, like a puppet. He's moving his arm up and down. At that
point, at 95, you're going to have the robot come out in lieu of Coach Pop because he's going to be in his room somewhere, perched up.
Jacob says they might as well put a recliner chair on the bench for Pop's old ass. Remember when Pop dressed really well? Yeah. He would wear suits to the games, and now he's like,
F it.
I'm expecting him to be in cargo shorts. It looks like he's like going on a flight, dressing comfy for a flight now.
Look at Mario Cavasso said, Coach Pop said, F it. I'll coach till 2031.
Noah Bettis saying Spurs should take a shot at Bronny. Why not? It's a late round pick.
Hey, why not? He will fill the seats because, his dad will probably come over on the off day, to see Bronny play.
Well, the Lakers, I'm looking at their picks, all right? They have pick number 55. Imagine if the Spurs are like,
oh, God.
Imagine if the Spurs are like, we'll take him at 48. Unless you give us 2 more second rounders.
Oh, man. Look at Sam Salinas. This is hilarious.
Pop's going to be in the bathrobe and slippers soon. Hey, man, thank you to all the people who are watching right now, by the way, because the numbers that we're seeing are pretty high, man. We are excited about this.
This has been our most watched show so far.
The number of people who came up to me yesterday and were like, dude, we love this show because you talk sports. And then you go to the pop culture nostalgia. For those of you who don't watch this show and you're new to it, we typically do a pop culture segment, a newsy kind of fun segment as well. Demon Mike makes an appearance where we talk about
Yeah.
the Chevy girls from Camino Real.
Camino Real.
So we do a lot of other things, but it's draft week, man.
Yeah.
So you know what? It's kind of like UT stole A&M's coach in college baseball. Hours after the Aggies lost the national championship game to Tennessee. Who cares? This is San Antonio. We talk about Spurs, baby. We talk Spurs. We talk Cowboys. Was it the football team? No, it was the baseball team. Who gives a crap?
Look at this comment.
Pop's going to be out there in a motorized scooter. That's from Chris Gonzalez. Thank you so much.
With the flag, with that little flag on it. Jeez, bro.
Very nice.
I like this comment too by the Drew Show. He says, Sohan's future has a lot of pine writing in it. He stinks. There you go. You got a brother in arms there.
Well, I'm still hopeful that he turns things around offensively. Golly, it is so frustrating to go after. We go to two shot, by the way. It's so frustrating for to debate Spur fan when it comes to it, because they love saying, dude, Sohan's 3-point shooting improved from 24% to 31%. He got so much better at shooting. And I'm like, his 2-point percentage just went down by 3% when you put it all together.
And some of that had to do with him coming out as a point guard.
He played better as a point guard.
No, but
shooting.
I'm saying that wasn't his normal position.
He had more assists per game last year. Well, he played more minutes, and he was also playing point guard. I would hope that he'd have more assists. And you throw this at Spur fan, and Spur fan gets offended. They get offended. Take off my screen if you can.
Yeah.
They get offended, man, because it's they want to believe in these guys so much, but Sohan right now is just a dude. He wouldn't start for any other team in the NBA but the Spurs.
So we'll shoot one-handers like Sohan.
Nah, man. That ain't it, man. He shot 76% from the free throw line. Castle is going to be a future part of this building block of this team. It's not like we're going to hope that Castle's going to work out. He is going to work out. He's going to work out.
Yeah.
I have all the faith in the world, because you need to be a two-way player in the NBA. And being a two-way player in the NBA doesn't necessarily mean that you have to shoot threes. You
gotta play defense and be able to score buckets.
If he's an elite defender, can run the break, worst case scenario, the Spurs got Bruce Bowen. That's worst case scenario.
Bruce Bowen could play defense and knock down an open three.
Yes.
What's wrong with that?
Just show him where. And the thing is, we talk about how Sohan was playing out of position, right?
Yeah.
Last year playing point guard. Guess who played out of position last year and was the number 4 pick of the overall draft last night? Stefon Castle. He was a freshman on a national championship winning team playing out of position. So when he was going out there saying, I want to be point guard, he's basically saying, I'd like to be back at my old position, please.
Yeah.
Because they had him playing a 2-3 type of thing going on where they're like, well, you're 6'6" and you're in college, and 6'6" is really tall in college. We can use you for other things. So they had him do a lot of different things, which is great, because he's kind of like that utility player in baseball.
That's what I said about Kyle Anderson.
Put him in the outfield. Yeah. If you want to have Kyle Anderson play the 2, play the 3, play the 4, he'll figure it out.
He was a Swiss Army knife, Kyle Anderson. That's what I like him. He was a very versatile player.
I got to see if the Rookie of the Year odds have come out for 2025, because I'd be interested. Oh, they are out. Guess who has the 3rd best chance of winning Rookie of the Year right now?
Who does? Let's see.
This is according to New York Post, and they are citing the source being, let's see here, FanDuel. So FanDuel has their odds coming out today saying that Alex Sarr is the favorite of winning the Rookie of the Year at 4.5 to 1 odds. Zachary Sarche at 6 to 1. Stefon Castle, the 3rd best odds according to FanDuel right now, at 7.5 to 1 odds. Matas Buzelis, who fell all the way to like 11,
Matalo,
is 8.5 to 1. Reed Shepard at 10 to 1. Dalton Connect at 10 to 1. Saloon at 12. Zach Edey at 12. Dilly, again, they have him at 20 to 1 odds. Cody Williams at 20 to 1 odds. Ron Holland at 20 to 1 odds. So look at that.
Look at Sam Salinas. I like this. Damn, Mike, you're talking like Castle is your son. You're his LeVar Ball.
Oh, that is it, baby. What was when they made the announcement? Did you hear me, Joe?
Yeah.
They're like,
my son.
That's my son. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. You don't understand, man. That was the guy. When it's very rare that a team picks the guy that you cheered for the most in college.
Yeah, you're like, that's my guy.
That's my guy. That's the one I want on the Spurs. That's the guy I want on my team.
Yeah, and speaking of our guy, we got to give some love out here to Jeff Garcia of Locked On Spurs. He was at The Rock yesterday as he was covering the event as part of the media. So let's go ahead and give him some love. Locked On Spurs is your daily Spurs podcast, hosted by Jeff Garcia, the lead Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Jeff has a healthy plethora of guests all the time on the Locked On Spurs podcast. You can also follow Jeff on Threads at Jeff G Ken's 5 SA. You can also follow Jeff on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. So make sure you go ahead and give Jeff a follow not only on Threads and Twitter, but also on YouTube at youtube.com/@Locked On Spurs. This is where you're going to be able to find the replay of the Locked On Spurs podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share.
A ton of great content by Jeff Garcia last night. He worked late last night.
Oh, yeah.
Doing the draft coverage as a member of the media. I subscribe, by the way, on YouTube and Spotify. You should too. He has 4,600 subscribers. He's doing a bang-up job.
Blowing up.
30 new subscribers for Jeff this week.
That's huge, man.
That is a good
and
week.
We asked him, hey, Jeff, you're blowing up. And he's like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I don't look at the numbers. I don't look at the numbers. He does have a instant reaction of the Spurs taking Castle at 4 and getting rid of Dillingham right away with his guest, Vinny Vanzetta of Ken's 5. Other things that are going on, he talks about how Victor Wembanyama was nominated for an ESPY Award for Best Breakthrough Athlete. Ooh, I like that. That's an article that you can read on Kens5.com. He also has a video from NBA TV on his Twitter page of Stefon Castle being interviewed by NBA TV immediately after, looking good. That silver and black.
That Castle chains is like legit, dude. It's fire, man.
There's also video right here of Coach Hurley from UConn going up to hug right here.
The family.
Hug the family and hug Stefon Castle upon hearing his name being called.
I'm sure the coach is, beyond excited and proud of him because he knows that this means so much, not only to Castle as a player, but also to the family,
Yeah. It also shows, as Brian Wright mentioned, he was coached up. This is a blue blood team. He's not taken from Alabama like Josh Primo. He went to UConn. If you got a guy who went to UConn, went to Kansas, went to Kentucky, went to Duke, went to UNC, you got somebody who got coached up, right? I'm excited, man. I'm super excited.
D'Lo says you got to stop calling him son, bro. He's not going to like you if that becomes a thing.
JHNSB reaches out to us and says, I'm hoping Dilly has a great career, makes Brian Wrong look stupid. DA says MJ more enthusiastic right now than when he talks about Salma Hayek. EG says it makes sense. It's like they could put the point guard in his position. It was easier to put him in a shooting guard. Was going on forward. He's multiple positions, but he wants to play point. He goes, I got the handles, I got the passing ability. And what did he do all last season? Toss lobs to Donovan Clingan, 7'2" center, right? Yeah. Toss lobs. Pick and roll. I'm excited to see what they're going to do.
I like this comment by Sean Quintero. You were yelling, that's my son. He goes, after you flicked him off.
Because Sean Quintero has been at me for the last 2 or 3 months going, I don't want him. I want somebody who can knock down threes. We need shooters. Yeah. And I've been telling him, dude, Castle is the best pick for the Spurs at that point. And he didn't believe me. And then when the Spurs drafted him, the first thing I did was I said, that's my son. The second thing I did was I looked over at Sean and I flicked him off. That's my son right there.
But Sean's your boy. That's your friend.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Mario says, I concur. Each of these players that Mike labels as his son turns out to be a bad player. It's a curse. Stop it. Who else have I done my son?
You said
Vassell's my son, so that's not a bad one. Lonnie Walker was my son. He went off to have a better career elsewhere. And Malachi Branham was my son. I don't know, man. I might have to drop off Branham at the firehouse.
Look, Jay Sanchez 5. Spurs fans always fixated on a draft player. Next year will be someone else, and so on and so on and so on, is what he says.
No draft party tonight. I'm gonna watch it from home because people called me this morning. Number of text messages I got this morning. How hungover are you? Because I don't know. About 12 hours ago, I was swimming in bourbon.
Yeah, you were.
And dude, I don't believe in hangovers, man. I let myself be hungover for an hour, and then that's it. That's it. I'm ready to go on.
Yeah, I mean, I woke up like a champ, dude. I didn't have no problems. I went, took a shower, got dressed, came down here, got the studio ready, and all that. And I look at the time. I was doing some stuff for work, more paperwork, and then I look and I'm like, man, Mike's cutting it close today. I was like, I wonder if he's even awake. You're like, no, I'm on my way. I'm like, all right, cool, man.
So on the draft yesterday, if we look at around the NBA when it comes to it, Atlanta keeping the pick and taking Reece Shea. I'm a little bit surprised. I thought that they would do something for DeJounte Murray or get rid of Trae Young or do something, but it looks like they might be hand-tied because Trae Young has a hell of a fat contract.
That he does.
And DeJounte Murray, they're going to want several picks for him. And the price might be too rich. Even though they reportedly are saying we're not out there trying to get what Mikal Bridges got. We just want to make a move. Reed Shepherd going to Houston, though. That's going to be scary as a Spurs fan because we go see Houston all the time. We play them all the time. Houston was 41-41 last season. They have all these picks, reportedly going after Kevin Durant, who, by the way, the GM was like, those are all just lies. And again, I don't believe you.
Yeah, but the thing is, how many games do you have to win to flirt with the play-in game?
Right. You got to win 48 as of last year.
Yeah.
Castle going for Ron Holland, your boy, your guy, going number 5. You've been talking about Ron Holland.
Yeah, I like
that. That was your guy.
And I liked Klingon, too. When I saw Klingon falling,
yeah,
I'm like, oh, God, please let him be at 8. But no, man, the Portland Trailblazers got him at 7 right before the San Antonio Spurs. I was like, man, I was hoping that San Antonio would kind of move up and make a deal with Portland so they could get Klingon. I think Klingon's going to be one of the guys that's going to be a steal of the draft.
Yeah, he could have gone number 1 overall reportedly, and it's because no one else needed a center between 2 and 6. He slid to 7. It's good news for Portland. As we mentioned, Dillingham got traded away from the Spurs to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Zach Edey going 9, Cody Williams 10. There are a lot of surprises there. That was the thing about this draft. We talk about beauty being in the eye of the beholder. Saloon going off to number 6. That was a gut punch a little bit because I think the Spurs would have kept him. I think they would have gotten that guy.
Yeah, if Saloon was there,
specifically for
Wemby,
yeah. Right? But think about this, Joe. The top 2 players and 3 of the top 6, all from France.
I know, man. I was looking forward, and Rick too, Fernandez. He was like, "We're talking about the French connection."
Yeah,
and it was funny too because we were looking as they were showing, all these French players, and they showed some of the fans there, right, watching the draft
in berets,
little berets, and I looked over at Steph, right, and I tell her, if we do the poodles in Paris, we got to get Rick and Mike the berets to wear everywhere.
There was a 4th Frenchman that was taken later on in the first round, so 4 overall in the draft, top 2, 3 of the first 6. And then 4 in the first round. Memo coming out and saying that the Spurs need to get rid of Blake or Malachi, definitely getting shipped out. Can't see them being on the Spurs. Well, I mean, you got 15 roster spots.
That's it.
I mean, the end of the bench is there for a reason.
Yeah.
And, Blake Wesley has shown some flashes from time to time. The problem with Wesley is that he gets hurt. And then Malachi Branham, he caught fire there in February and March this past season.
And then fizzled out,
man. So he's very, very streaky. But, the Spurs are getting guys early in drafts now. They're paying them more. They got to play them more. Space Invader. Space Invader says, to Memo, not sure why the Spurs keep drafting 6'3", 6'5" guards over and over. Takes development time away from players. Wish we had drafted for size in the past. Well, you could say that the Spurs going after Stefon Castle was going after size, 6'6", 6'6.5". Yeah. That's a pretty big point guard. If he plays point and he's 6'6", it's a pretty tall point guard. Yeah, that's a man's body right there.
Yeah, I'm happy with the draft. with Castle, with the Spurs drafting Castle. Not, I was a little taken aback by the Spurs trading away that 8th pick, but again, waking up today and to see things in a different light, and hopefully everything will pan out in the long run, playing the long game here. But my sights are set on what's going to happen next season, specifically where the Spurs are going to fall in the context of that 2025 draft, and also what they're going to do in free agency. I think it's, like you said, the perfect storm culminating together, and this is the time for the Spurs to actually do something. Get Brian Wright, poke him with that stick. Do something. He'll do it.
The draft grades are out right now. Yahoo Sports has done a pick-by-pick analysis and given a letter grade. This is Kristen Peak as the writer. They gave the Atlanta Hawks for Zachary Sarche an A because of his combination of length and defensive versatility.
But he has small hands.
He's got small hands.
And can't jump.
26-inch vertical. Wizards, they gave an A as well. Okay, I think this is bad because you can't be an A all around. Come on, man. Reed Shepherd, they gave an A. They gave the Spurs an A. Apparently, she fell asleep holding that A button. Ron Holland, the B. B+ for Saloon. Klingon, an A. And they gave the Minnesota Timberwolves a B grade. All right, I'm gonna go to another one, man. We'll go to CBS Sports. They're actually pretty good when it comes to it all. They gave the Hawks a B. The Wizards a B+, the Spurs a B-. Ooh. Okay, so this is the analysis from CBS Sports. It says, quote, Castle was an outstanding multi-positional defender for the national champion Huskies and flashed offensive skills as a creator. I have questions about the fit in San Antonio. He's 6'6", and while some believe he could be a point guard, he played the small forward position at UConn and was better off the weak side slashing. The shooting is a real issue. The Spurs need shooting around Wemby. Castle's ultra versatile, but he's not a shooter. Does this work? Is the question mark. I mean, that's the thing about it, though, man. The thing about it is you have to ask yourself the question, do you have faith that the Spurs have the coaching to coach him up as a shooter? Do you have that faith? Do you have that faith that Pop is surrounding himself with the coaches that are needed around Wemby and Castle? My thing about it is this. How do you not fit with Wemby? If you don't fit with Wemby, that's more of a mental mindset. Joe, you and I could fit with Wemby. You know why? We know what the job is.
Get the ball.
Get him the damn ball.
Yeah, get the ball to Wemby. It's something that's asinine to me as a Spurs fan. You have the tallest guy out there on the court, and these Spurs players still haven't figured out, you know what? I need to get the ball to Wemby.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he's not going to score, give him the damn ball. That way you can space out on the floor, because they still haven't learned that as well. The spacing for this San Antonio Spurs team is very frustrating. You have the biggest guy on the court. Give him the ball. Let the defense, he's going to suck the defense in. You can move around without the ball. But everybody's just plastered there waiting beyond the three-point line, and Wemby has to kick the ball out to them. And what happens?
Mm-hmm.
Take a three, miss. Take a three, miss. Move without the damn ball.
Mario asked the question, not counting Wemby, who's been the best pick under Brian Wright becoming GM? Is it Vassell? Because that's not very good. I thought Vassell being taken in the early teens is not bad. I mean, It's not like they used the number 3 pick for him. They chose him at 11 or 12, right around there. So, I mean, I don't think it's that bad. I don't think he's been a bad picker. I mean, you pass up on Şengün to go get Primo. That was a bad one. You pass up on Jalen Williams to get Sohan. As much of a fan favorite is that Sohan is, Williams is the better player. And his brother Cody Williams taken in the lottery yesterday. We have some news coming in from the Stein line on Yahoo Sports saying that Kristaps Porzingis will be sidelined for 5 to 6 months after undergoing surgery to repair left leg injuries.
Yeah,
he sustained it during the NBA Finals.
Yeah, he had that dislocation, that awkward dislocation. He still played in that final game where the Boston Celtics closed out the Mavs. But Porzingis, that's the thing with him and his whole career, is that he's always injury prone. It doesn't matter what team he's played for. If you go back and look at his history, he's always injured. He can't stay healthy, man. I think that he's in the waning parts of his career already. You can play him, but very limited minutes only.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, at this point in his career.
Yeah.
And that's something that you look at when it comes to Wemby, that you want to keep Wemby at a certain weight. You want him to do those exercises and those stretches that he does with his feet, because when you're 7 feet tall, it's difficult to take care of those legs, difficult to take care of those feet,
the knees, and the ankles,
the knees, the back.
Yeah.
I mean, David Robinson, we saw it, man.
Oof,
David Robinson
man.
had bad back injuries over the years.
When he won that last championship in 03, man, the guy could barely even walk and stand up because he was going through some severe nerve pain, you know? Now I'm sure that his basketball career has ended. He's taken care of that, but he was in some pretty bad pain. Some games he couldn't even play because he was immobile. He couldn't move.
We were talking yesterday over at the Spurs party that we had out there. By the way, I saw the video from the Rock.
Yeah,
looked amazing, but it looked like people were so far from the screen because so many people showed up over there.
It was packed.
I had people tell me that they turned around.
Really?
That they just saw the crowd and just turned around, which is why I was so excited that we had our party over at Pete's Place in Helotes. They kept the drinks flowing. But it was a great time, man. We had over 40 people out there that are listeners of the show that were out there.
Oh, yeah, man.
And this is a growing thing, man. We are putting together a very, very fascinating and good content from what we're bringing. Again, those of you who are new to the show, we typically talk a lot of sports, but we do a lot of pop culture. We do a lot of
Demon Time with Mike.
Demon Time with Mike. We get nostalgic about music and movies and things like that. For those of you who are new to the show, we've had interviews recently with WWE, superstar wrestler back in the day, Hall of Famer Goldberg. We had UTSA legend Frank Harris. We had the Von Erich twins with our show.
Goldberg.
We've had some pretty good interviews over the past few months or so. So welcome to the show, because I know there's a lot of new eyes on us. I can tell because I can see the numbers right now.
Yeah, and they're going in the chat right now and saying that, look at the pedigree of player that Brian Wright has drafted. And they say Save Space Invader saying that is complete failure. Walker, Primo, Wesley, Branham, Sohan, all non-impact players, not including others.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and we got lucky when we got Victor Wembanyama. 14% chance, 1 in 7 chance, and it materialized.
Yeah, I agree with him though. Safe Space Invader. Lucas Samanic was a complete and utter waste of a pick.
Primo was a waste of a pick too.
Yeah, that was, man. He could have gotten Saloon instead.
I had somebody ask,
or not the Saloon. Was his name? Segun. Yeah.
Yeah, I was asking the question about. Someone mentioned to me yesterday. They were like, the whole formula of getting Josh Primo was they wanted that tall point guard.
Yeah.
And is that what Stefon Castle's going to be? Are they going to move him into that role that they wanted? Find that to be fascinating, man. Again, the draft picks up again tonight. Spurs have two second-round picks, number 35 and number 48. We're on pick 31. So the Spurs will be on the board soon enough.
Yeah.
See who the Spurs get. We're going to see if Bronny James gets his name called
picked up
out
by
there.
the Spurs. Hey, but you know what? Let's go ahead and give some love to our boy of MCS General Contracting, Chris Leha. And Mike can attest to the quality of work that they do. And we're going to go ahead and show the quick video, and you can give us your stamp of approval afterwards. MCS General Contracting, more than 30 years of combined experience in concrete placement. They are the best in the business, honest pricing, high quality work. They get going on house foundations, driveways, concrete patio decks. If you want to extend the deck, extend the driveway. If you're a business and you need to put together a slab, a parking lot, or other concrete placement services or sidewalks, reach out to MCS General Contracting at 210-774-9155. They're confident in their skills, so give Chris Leha over at MCS General Contracting a call at 210-774-9155. And thank you for being a sponsor of this show.
I'm a client. They did some great work at the side and back of my house. They built me a sidewalk from the gate to my backyard. They did a landing towards the end of my concrete slab over there, my covered patio.
Keeps the water away from your home.
Keeps the water away. It was ponding. It was affecting the foundation. Dude, I'm happy. MCS General Contracting does a fantastic job. If you can show my screen real fast.
Sure.
Antonio Brown needs some help.
Oh no, man, not again. This guy.
According to TMZ Sports, he dropped a homophobic slur aimed at Jared McCain, formerly of Duke. He was drafted in the first round yesterday. Jared McCain was taken by the 76ers at number 17 overall. And the reason why he has problems with McCain is because he doesn't like what he does on social media. Called him a homophobic slur. And if you look yesterday, and there's people who have problems with this, and I find it to be funny. Caleb Williams, by the way, did this too, who was drafted number 1 overall in the NFL draft. There are young people, young guys these days who are big, burly, manly men who play football and basketball who paint their nails. And he was at the draft yesterday with his nails painted.
Yeah,
Okay?
and today's times are different, man. If somebody wants to express themselves in any way they can, that's up to them, dude. If you don't like it, you don't have to do that.
Right.
But I mean, people are going to express themselves in different and unique ways. I don't have an issue with it.
And I don't see why people would have an issue. You can say that you don't like it.
You don't like
but
it?
who cares?
Fine. Yeah.
Who cares? You know,
It's not your body. It's not you.
I mean, to me, this is like tattoos.
Yeah. You don't like it? Don't get one.
Yeah, you don't like one, don't get one.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't like someone painting their nails, a dude painting their nails, then don't paint your nails. It's that simple, man. It's that simple.
Yeah.
Or
At the end of the day, people aren't going to say, oh, you're a bad guy or a good person based on the color of your nails. They're going to base it on the quality of the character.
Yeah.
You know?
We got to look up some of the fashion from yesterday, man, because the NBA draft, we talk about draft grades and whatnot. The fashion yesterday was through the roof. So much that Vogue Vogue comes out with the best looks from the 2024 NBA draft. Look at that. Let's go take a look at some. Well, we're talking about Jared McCain.
Okay.
There he is right there. Looking, as the kids say, fly. What about this outfit right here? Keshawn George. Let's give some letter grades here, right? Jared McCain. I'm going to give that a B minus. I think it's very plain. It's black on black on black. I mean, it's great if it's an SUV.
Yeah.
But no, I'm okay.
I like that kid's look, man. That afro is on point, George. Man.
Well, that's not the fashion. It's just the
hey,
fro.
Man, that's part of the outfit, bro.
Is he like Fletch?
Yeah, man. I like it, dude.
He's 6'3", but 6'9" with the afro.
I like it, man. I like it. It's like a throwback, dude. I like that.
I don't mind it either, man. But I'm gonna give this a solid B. Let's go on here. This is a classy look here.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Deron Holmes II.
He's like got that double-breasted,
man. The big buttons are coming back. Looks like I'm gonna go ahead and say that this right here, I'll give this a solid B+.
Yeah, that's looking gangster, dude. Like a harken back to Goodfellas, you know?
Here's our guy, Stefon Castle.
There you go, man.
A+++. That's my son right there. But look at that. I like the shoes.
That's some nice kicks, man.
Like the kicks. I like the silver and black. He knew where he was going. And he has the medallion here, the chain that has a castle. Again, Wemby got his castle, baby. Love it. A+++. We have Yves Missy. It's just, I mean, I'm sure in person it looked better. But I'm gonna give this a C-. It's
all right.
Isaiah Collier, who was drafted towards the end of the draft. I mean, it looks a little bit more casual.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this a solid B. Is that a brooch? What is that right there?
I don't know. It looks like it.
All right. Let's see here. The NIL money coming into play. We have Devin Carter, who went to the Kings at 13. Not impressed. He looks like he's coming out of like a club in Miami.
Oh man.
What is that? What is that? Seafoam? That seafoam green?
Seafoam green, yeah.
I'm gonna give that a B-. Rob Dillingham, who was a Spur for 3 minutes. Give that a B-. Looks like a country jacket. Like something a country star would wear, right?
Yeah.
Tristan Da Silva, also taken last night in the draft. He looks like a waiter, dude. This is the worst one so far. What is this?
Oh, dude.
What is this Two-Face? What is this?
This
is awful. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a D.
No, I'll get that one an F, bro. Look at this safe space invader. I like this phrase. That should be the phrase we yell for Wembanyama this coming
Oh.
season when he makes a dunk or something.
Yeah.
Oh, mama.
Wembanyama.
Oh, yeah, man. I like it, dude.
Okay, so we'll go Ron Holland. These are the last two. Ron Holland, I'm going to give that a solid B+. And then lastly, Cody Williams looking like he's wearing his dad's jacket because that's about 3 sizes too big, my man. Who did this to you? That's the F right there. All right, so I asked the question on Twitter. You can still vote on this at MJ Acquired Taste. I asked the question, give the Spurs a letter grade for what they did yesterday in drafting Stefon Castle number 4 overall and also trading the number 8 pick to Minnesota for a protected swap and a 2031 first-round draft pick. The grades are in. Joe, what do you want me to vote for you here?
Give the Spurs a solid B, dude.
Okay, so 38% give the Spurs a B. 27% give the Spurs an A. So I would say that right there, that's what, 66%, 65% want or say the Spurs had a good night. 21% gave the Spurs a C.
I like this. Save space invader. A for Castle, F for the trade, and then Tavares. He's always
C-.
killing me, dude. Solid C-.
14% are saying a C or a D. Now, some of the comments that are coming in are pretty interesting. It's just one of those things that I understand that the Spurs fans are upset that the Spurs didn't go off and get their shooter. And Dillingham playing for Kentucky, it's a team that we see a lot.
Keldon Johnson.
Keldon Johnson came from there. Yeah. They're a factory for NBA players. All the NBA players
ready now.
Right.
Yeah.
He was one and done. Reed Shepherd went number 3 overall. Dilly went 8. Essentially, the backcourt right there went in the top 8. I understand.
They're impatient. They're tired of the losing, and I'm right there with them too, man.
Yeah.
You get frustrated. 5 losing seasons in a row. You know, it doesn't seem like the team, in the eyes of Spurs fans, is getting that much better. They still kind of had the same record as they did in the prior year. Yeah. You know, I mean, they want to see some change. I get it, man. They're running out of patience.
Humble reaches out to us on Twitter and says, low B. I'm hoping the flipping of Dillingham isn't going to bite us in the ass sometime in the future.
Hey, that's a chance you take, you know?
Sean reaches out and says, A+ for 4. As for the number 8, don't know. Feel like it's a delayed grade because we won't know the outcome of the trade, so it's TBD, to be determined. David Outwater reaches out to us and says it was an A for the Castle pick, but what they did for the 8th pick put them as a high C for the night, like a 78. Give it an actual number. Chris Gonzalez gave an actual number saying 83, a low B-. Memo Rodriguez says Castle's NBA ready and his shot is only going to get better.
Yeah,
I hope.
You know, I just want to pause real quick too, because I want to remind everybody, if you're enjoying this stream, you know, if you're enjoying the show, you're interacting with us, give us some love, help the show grow, man. We greatly appreciate it.
Hit the Don't forget, hit the like button. Hit the like button right there, baby. Hit it and share this stream. Let other people know what we're doing and that we do exist. That's the thing. We had somebody who reached out to us earlier this week saying, dude, I've been following you for a few days. This is a great show. It's a fun show. Typically, again, we do sports and pop culture nostalgia, but because of the draft last night, we've been draft heavy this week.
The last 2 days,
This is not our normal show. We will talk a lot of Spurs, and at some point we'll talk a lot of Cowboys and Texans, and we'll eventually get into baseball. Olympics are coming up. It's fun times, man. It's fun times.
Oh, man, look at Jesse, because they're all in. Wright is all in
my ass.
Skip Bayless,
Skip Bayless style.
That comma's doing the Lord's work.
That's so funny, dude.
Hey, but it's almost, here, man. And we're going to be talking about the NFL pretty soon.
They do. The NFL, man, they're going to, it's almost July, right? Cowboy camp's going to get going.
Yeah.
We're going to have to find out, are the Cowboys going to let, there's two. Okay, we've been talking so much about Dak Prescott's contract, how he doesn't have one.
Yeah.
Right? He has like 1 year left on his deal. You know who else has 1 year left on his deal? Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, he does.
They're going to trot Mike McCarthy's ass out there with no job security. He's going to lose the locker room as a result. Because you cannot, if you watch the movie Moneyball.
Yeah.
The one who played Coach Howell back in the day, the the late actor who was, I forgot the guy's name. But anyway, he says, man, I can't go out there and coach on a 1-year deal. They won't respect me.
Yeah.
And that's the thing when it comes to the
Ron Washington, I think, is the guy's name in the movie. Isn't it?
No, it was. See here, it was. God, who was the actor who passed away?
I know who you're talking about.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah,
he played
Philip Seymour
Art Howe.
Hoffman.
He played
Yeah.
Art Howe.
Yeah.
So, he's like, they won't respect me, and that's true. If your coach has no job security, what do you care what they think of you? And Jerry Jones is going to trot out Dak Prescott with no contract and the possibility of losing him. And they're going to trot out Mike McCarthy out there, who's won 12 games, back-to-back years?
Yeah.
It's funny.
But at the end of the day, is it all Mike McCarthy's fault?
He didn't have that team ready for that playoff game against the Packers, man.
I mean, is it really the coach, or is it just the players as well? Because CeeDee Lamb went MIA. He went missing in action. And, of course, Dak, like always, when it comes to the big moment, when the light shined the brightest, he's like Icarus. I flew too close to the sun, and he just fades and falls away into nothingness. It's indicative of the Cowboys season. This is what always happens. They make you believe, and then they break your hearts. That's what's going to happen again this season. They're going to make you believe early in the season, and they're going to break your hearts again. Because you know what? It's going to be hard pressed for the Cowboys to win more than 8 games, in my opinion.
Lots of Cowboys talk will be had. Texans talk. Texans are going to have a big year. Going back to the draft, JHNSB asked the question, why would the Spurs keep the 35th pick but punt on the 8th? It's because the 8th has a guaranteed contract and a guaranteed roster spot. So you save on salary cap space. Second-round draft picks, they can just cut them. They can send them to the G League and marinate them for years at a time, and they can just cut them. That's why. But you also have some people who go to the G League who are second rounders, like Sidi Sissoko, who came up, did really well in Austin, got the big boy contract, got the guaranteed deal. It happens.
Memo says, I'm a Giants fan. Send help. Yeah, y'all need a lot of help right now, dude.
I mean, geez, man.
A lot. And look, Tim Gonzalez, he's saying, good, thank you for watching, Tim. He's always been there since the beginning. He says, who will the Spurs take at the 35th pick? He says, Mike and Joe, if you were to go ahead and have to, I guess, guess who they're going to get.
Well, it's funny because CBS Sports and ESPN both released a second-round mock draft.
Oh, God.
Okay, a mock draft based on who's left right now. CBS Sports believes that Justin Edwards from Kentucky will go number 31 to Toronto. They believe Bobby Klintman from Sweden will go 32 to the Jazz. They believe that Johnny Furphy, the Kansas sharpshooter, would go to a small forward rather, would go to the Blazers at 33. They believe the Hornets will take, they believe the Trailblazers will take Kyle Filipowski from Duke. And their belief is the Spurs will take a guy from Spain named Juan Nunez.
Oh,
we all know somebody named Juan Nunez, right?
Juan.
Okay, they say, quote, he's a Spanish point guard with great passing vision and creative handle. Nunez could bolster the Spurs' attempt at deepening their backcourt and help pair with number 4 overall pick Stefon Castle. That sounds like a Spursy pick. I know that he was worked out by the team. As far as 48 is concerned, they have the Spurs taking Jalen Bridges out of Baylor, who averaged 12 points, 6 rebounds. Says that he made significant strides with his three-point shooting, shot 41% from 3 while at Baylor. He's a 3-and-D guy. He's a catch-and-shoot guy. Sounds like a potential Bruce Bowen.
Yeah.
As far as other players that are available, they have Bronny James going 55 to the LA Lakers. Is that going to be like the one thing that we all know is going to happen? Or is somebody going to screw up?
Somebody's going to screw up.
Midtown, Texas. Juan Nunez is the next.
Marty Cones.
That is funny.
God. I was hoping we'd see Midtown Texas out there at the event yesterday.
Yes, Sam Salinas saying CBS with a great point, but he had to specify which Spurs. It's the Austin Spurs, not the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh my God. Philip Seymour Hoffman. This is what he's talking about.
Reaction to Tara Reid and the ATM scene with Lebowski. Can I make a confession here?
Sure.
I saw this thing the other day where it said the 36 greatest movies of the 90s. How many have you seen? And I've seen like 34 of them. Of the two that I've never seen, one of them is The Big Lebowski.
Oh, The Big Lebowski is a really funny movie.
I've tried.
It's funny,
I've
dude.
tried twice to watch that movie.
Couldn't get through it.
Couldn't get through it. You know why? Because I hate John Goodman.
Oh, man, it's funny, dude.
John Goodman's in there, right?
Yeah, look at Isaiah Aguilar. He's saying, for the card giveaway, if you correctly picked the players being picked, even though they were traded, you still counting that. I'm still going to count that. So what I'm going to do today, my homework for today, because we had a lot of responses to that post.
And there was one person who put down 4 Castle, 8 traded away.
Yeah.
They're like, it didn't say Dillingham traded away. It just said 8 traded.
Yeah. So I'm just like, I'm going to put everybody in that spinning wheel.
Yeah.
You know, put all these names in there. And we're just going to let the wheel do its thing. We'll do that on the show tomorrow. And we're going to go ahead and draw the winner. We'll give them that card. We'll ship it off. We'll contact them via DM.
How surprised are you that I am supportive of what Brian Wright did yesterday? Because you know I give that guy so much crap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised because I said, like, yesterday it was still fresh. You know, the wound was still fresh. But after, I had, time to kind of process everything. I came in and I think we're both in agreement. And you know what? It was a smart move.
Mm-hmm.
Smart move because your play is going to be next season. It's going to be the NBA draft. It's going to be free agency. If you're going to want to make this team better, how is it going to get better unless you're going to surround Wemby with some pieces? And one of those is going to have to be not coming from the draft. It's going to have to be in free agency. And like you were saying, there's a lot of names that are going to be available, and the Spurs can throw some money at one of those names.
I agree. The Spurs are making moves for 2025. Feel bad for this guy yesterday. Tyler Kolek out of Marquette. He was supposed to go in the first round yesterday. A lot of mock drafts had him going somewhere between 15 and 20. Not taken. The number of people coming out and saying that the reason why he wasn't taken, and I don't know if it was just a lie or if it's true or false, but they were basically saying that it's because he's dumb as rocks. That he scored poorly in the Wonderlick test, which is what they give football players, basketball players. And it's like, can you process things analytically? And this whole notion was going out there saying, the guy can't read. And so yesterday, if you go on Twitter, look up Tyler Kolek can't read. Jeez. And there's so many people out there who say that they firmly believe that they went to Marquette, that he joined the team. He was on the team because he's a good basketball player, but that he is
illiterate.
I don't know if it's true or not.
Well, look at Floyd Money Mayweather. Guy's a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
He can't sign his name to a check. How does that happen? How do you sign your name to a check? You're going to have a stamp?
Yeah.
Bam. How do you even get around? Like, if you can't read, like, you can't see any of the signs. You're on the, interstate. How do you know where your exit's at? Man, I don't know if this is true or not. It's just a rumor that's going on with this particular kid, but hopefully it's not true.
He was supposed to go in the first round, still available.
Yeah,
still available. But I feel bad for the guy because even if it is true, like, do you want that to be exposed?
And now everybody's pointing out people who can't read. Oh God,
E.g. Juan Nunez, one mechanic.
Oh, his grade. His grade, dumbass.
That is funny.
Oh God, Juan Nunez, my mechanic. That one was hilarious, dude. Can you imagine that? Because you can't read. Scouting report says, "Dumbass."
Everyone say Kevin Garnett can't read. He turned out fine. Steven Jackson couldn't read. He turned out fine. Wow. I'm gonna look up sample Wonderlick questions.
Oh man.
Okay, here's a 25-question Wonderlick test practice. Okay, this is what they give the football players and all that stuff, and people oftentimes ask the question, well, why do you care?
Yeah.
It's because basketball and football, more football than basketball, is science, right? It's the science of causation. Things are going to happen if certain things happen, right? And they give them this test, right? So here's a sample question here. Are the following two words similar, contradictory, or not related? Fault and break. Fault, F-A-U-L-T, and break. Well, I'm going to say not related. Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. A store owner bought some flower pots for $1,200. The flower pots were sold for $2,700 with a profit of $30 per pot. How many pots did she sell? 50. A turkey was cooked for 400 degrees in an oven for 3 hours. The internal temperature rose from 30 to 156. What's the average temperature rise per hour? Well, that's 126 divided by 4, 42. So this is the Wonderlick test. Do you have, okay, why would they give this to people who are athletes? Like, I understand like the shapes, but like a turkey was cooked at 400 degrees. What is going on here? Didn't they say Vince Young had like this super low?
God, dude, they made fun of him so bad. I was listening to the shows here locally, right? And I was driving. I was on the interstate. It was like at 5-6 o'clock in the afternoon, and all the sports shows on San Antonio airwaves had me in stitches, dude. I had to pull over. I was laughing so hard. They were just playing soundbite after soundbite, making fun of Steve of Young, you know, Vince Young, and it was so funny, dude, because they were saying like how horrid he did on his Wonderlick test. They're like, he can't understand basic concepts and this and that. I'm like, geez, man.
Joe Gonzalez reaches out and says, old boy is like, I could hit that J though. NFL, the highest Wonderlick scores, according to Sporting News. A perfect score of 50 was done by Pat McAnally, who was a punter. Mike Mamula, the defensive end, was a 49 score. Ryan Fitzpatrick, who I believe went to Harvard, if I was not mistaken, one of the Ivies. A 48. Lowest scores of all time. Vince Young, he scored a 6. Okay, first of all, if you just chose C every time and it's 1 in 4 chance of getting it, wouldn't you get at least a 13 or 12 or 13 on average? Man. If you're getting a 6, you have to be actively trying to miss it, right? Frank Gore scored a 6. Some guy named Oscar Davenport, who was a quarterback, a safety named Ed Prather, got a 5.
Man,
the lowest score, Morris Claiborne of the Cowboys. They traded up to get him with the number 6 overall pick in the 2012 draft. Scored a 4.
What was the highest score?
50.
Man,
he scored a 4. Okay. Again, it says Claiborne's score should come with an asterisk because it was later reported that he was diagnosed with a learning disability. So we'll give the lowest score of all time to Darren Davis, the running back from Iowa State, who scored a 4 at the 2000 Combine, went undrafted but played 4 seasons in the Canadian Football League. So, yeah, good times.
Jeez, man.
Sam, ABACADABA.
Look, they said CJ Stroud had a terrible score, too.
This is funny. Brent Berry couldn't read. He became a champ. He couldn't read Tony's text to his wife. Is what that was,
my
baby.
God. But he could sure as hell see those pictures. You know, that was a weird time here in San Antonio. You remember that?
Yeah, dude.
When the story broke.
If social media was really a big thing back then, that would have been a huge story.
That was just so weird. You know, breaking news. This is what's going on. And you heard it, like, I think it was like a 12 o'clock news or something.
Yeah.
That was the lead story, right? The sexting scandal with Tony Parker, you know, and Brent Berry and the wives, man.
You know, where there's sexting, there's boning.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Okay.
You know, and the thing is like, as soon as I think Brent Berry found out, the story is like, he immediately went and he showed Eva Longoria, right? and they were talking amongst themselves about what the next move was, and he was like, he gone,
Yeah.
you know, and Brent Barry's, she gone. And the thing is that his wife was practicing to become an attorney, right? And he just like said, you're out, you know, I'm done with you.
Mario asking the question, was Miss Barry a nugget? Damn straight she was.
She was, man.
She was. But you know, winning cures everything, Joe.
Yeah. And
we all have in our pack of friends, we all have that one douchebag guy friend, right?
Yeah.
In the path, the pack of Spurs players that won titles, their douchebag friend is Tony.
How do you think it was, like, you know, Brent Barry was in the front office right after he left the Spurs and whatnot, came back.
Yeah.
Tony Parker wanting to go watch a game, Brent Barry working in the front office. How did that dynamic work? Like,
I know.
How do you keep them away from each other?
Was a punch thrown? We'll never know.
Yeah, man.
Like, did he land one on Tony?
We'll never know.
Or would he have been shipped out? Would have been like A League of Her Own when you know, Kit hit her sister, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, well, we had to force a trade, but we're going to keep Dottie, you know?
Yeah.
God, I made too many references to that movie this week, man.
Jeez, man. You know, the thing is, I think Tony probably went out of the country, dude. As soon as he knew that story was breaking, probably got on a plane, went directly to Paris.
Oh, for those of you who are new to the show, a nugget is a hottie.
Oh,
should we show the newbies to the show, the fine women from the
what do you
a Demon Mike segment of the Camino Real?
Oh, yeah, Camino Real Chevy girls.
Do they have any new ones?
No, they haven't done nothing in a while.
No
man.
new ones. Oh, I love those girls. Hey, remember we were talking about the weathercast, the meteorologist?
Oh, we saw him yesterday, dude. Telemundo.
Okay, first of all, I'm not impressed.
Oh,
but I'll tell you who
on.
I am impressed by. Felicia Combs.
She's always on my search history.
She's
now.
my favorite. Dude, you got to be kidding me, dude. Look at her.
Yeah.
And what's so funny, she is so like put together and so professional on the Weather Channel. She has a jacket on. She was at South Padre Island for the tropical storm Alberto that hit last week. This is what's going on with the Weather Channel here. And she's got up here? Only a pretty face. She's got a brain because she has a degree in meteorology. But Felicia Combs, she can bring it. Now, I mean, is she Yannick Garcia? No. So let's see, professional her. Celebrity crush? Can this be? She's in my top 5. She's somewhere in my top 5.
That's the reason you watch the Weather Channel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And then I like going on her social media. Felicia Combs. There you go. This is the Demon Mike segment of the day. Get you a Felicia Combs. See, there she is doing the weather. Does she have to be big booty girl? Does she have to wear a skirt up to her 4 inches below her hoo-ha? No. She's out there doing her thing in a professional manner, and she's a nugget. This is a nugget right there. Very nice.
Look, that's high quality production for a naughty movie.
Isaiah Aguilar says smart women are greater than. That's right, baby. This is she's a nugget, dude. This is the nugget. Yeah. Oh, wait. See, she wears a skirt sometimes to do the skirt and boots.
Yeah.
She's a nugget, dude.
Look at that memo. That man said hoo-ha.
I didn't know how else to put it. But Felicia Combs, celebrity crush list right there. Very nice. I'm going to monitor how many people follow her on social media because it's going to go up to like 90,000 after this, right?
A lot follow
funny.
her.
That's funny. Everyone have a fantastic day. Again, the second round of the NBA draft is tonight. Spurs have picks 35 and 48. We'll see if Bronny James goes 55 to the Lakers. I'll be watching that draft from home.
Me too.
Welcome to the Spurs, Stefon Castle. You're the one I wanted for months. You're a Spur. You belong here. You looked great yesterday. He's my son.
I wonder what number he's going to use. I think he said number 5 from what I understood. Yeah.
Number 5 is what it's looking like. But Joe, and thank you again to everyone who was at the Pete's Place yesterday for our party. It meant a lot to us. Hit the like button on the way out. Share, subscribe, let people know what we're doing. We're on the march to 1,000, just 62 away. Everyone's saying great show. Thank you so much for this. It's been a fun time. Everyone have a good day at work. We'll be back tomorrow.
See ya.